This has gone to the most powerful wings of government, arguably, in Washington, D.C., now deliberately fabricating or misleading investigations for reasons of political expediency. It is terrifying. Has this all confirmed the idea of the deep state? Have you been following impeachment? Okay, let's start with this. This week, the Justice Department Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, so many vowels.
There's lots of titles. What's going on?
Released a report looking into the FBI's investigation of President Trump's campaign. Okay, he was questioned about the report in a Senate hearing yesterday. Let's see that real quick.
The Inspector General found that when the FBI secretly opened an investigation into possible Russian influence of the Trump campaign in July 2016, it followed the rules about launching that kind of case. The report says the FBI's court application made statements about Steele that were, quote, inaccurate, incomplete, and unsupported, overselling his value as a source and glossing over the fact that many claims he made were not checking out.
Yeah. Claim some mistakes. That's a funny word. If you listen to some of the leftist shows, and I've been listening to, obviously, the Young Turks, Pod Save America, Reading Up at Vox, and Salon, they're going to try and spin this as some minor procedural errors made by low-level FBI employees. That's kind of the story that's been going out there, and I encourage you to go and read and watch further left sources, because that is kind of the narrative that they've set.
It just sound familiar to anybody when conservatives were targeted by the IRS? Oh, it's low-level people. It was a mistake.
Right.
We didn't do this.
Which, by the way, also lends itself to the fact that civil libertarians and a lot of Republicans always had a problem with the abuses of FISA. Right? If you could search which words we've used in this program, we've talked about Barack Obama and FISA several times. I do think it's important to be consistent here. Let's go through the series of mistakes the FBI made. Even if maybe the Inspector General can't detect any pattern that might point to a motive, maybe we can. So we would like to introduce this new segment called Could It All Be an Accident? Boy, that was out of tenor.
Yeah, that was really serious.
Dramatic.
Man, I thought this was going to be a game show.
Yeah, me too. Okay. I will take conspiracy theories for 500 and ensuring that I am removed from the platform. Okay, let's start with this. There's a couple of claims. Let's go through the claims. One of the claims that Comey and others were exonerated. Democrats, left-wing media, they were quick to say that the IG report exonerated James Comey, right? We have an overlay here. The truth is that the Inspector General said the report did nothing even close to that.
Former FBI Director James Comey said this week that your report vindicates him. Is that a fair assessment of your report?
I think the activities we found here don't indicate anybody who touched this.
Okay.
No, not at all. That's entirely incorrect.
They have a problem with reports here. What's going on? Like the Barr thing with no collusion? No, it didn't say that, and this didn't say something, and they're saying it says something. I don't know what to believe.
Barr is an example of collusion corruption at the highest level, as opposed to dozens of high-level employees at the FBI who systematically worked to undermine our presidency. Just be sure that you understand this.
I just want to have it straight.
I want to make sure.
Thank you.
Let's move on to another claim, which I think is, you guys may remember this, but there were a lot of claims made, and it's kind of silly that we have to go back to this, but this is actually very important because of, I don't know if this is effectively falsified. We'll get some information that, to me, I'm not a lawyer. We have a lawyer seems falsified, but the context of this seems at the very least deliberately misleading some claims that people made regarding the infamous Russian peeing tape.
Oh boy.
When you told him the contents of the Steele dossier, did you get the impression it was the first time he'd ever heard those allegations?
Yes, and I didn't give him the briefing on the whole Steele dossier. My assignment was to brief him on a small part of it that was salacious and personal, and my sense was, I didn't get a sense that he knew about those.
Why include that salacious part? If it was something that you thought was, not that necessary to the investigation, or did you think it was important that he knew?
We thought it was important that he knew, and I say we, meaning all the intelligence chiefs that put together the intelligence community assessment. We thought it was important that he know, because we knew, and we don't want to be holding that back from the new president.
Did you believe his denial?
I honestly never thought these words would come out of my mouth, but I don't know whether the current president of the United States was with prostitutes peeing on each other in Moscow in 2013. It's possible, but I don't know.
And by the way, after that interview, Chuck Todd's goatee cocooned into a butterfly and flew away.
That's nice. Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, my jawline. So, here's the thing. In case, just to summarize there, Comey was saying that it was his duty to brief the president about the P tape, and then claims that he thought it very well may have been true. Let me explain this very clearly. The FBI not only knew that the story had zero corroboration, they knew that it was in fact a joke. The FBI interviewed Steele's source and asked him to corroborate the story, but the source, and I have a quote here, explained that his or her information came from word of mouth and hearsay, another quote, conversation that he or she had with friends over beers, and that some of the information, such as allegations about Trump's sexual activities, were statements he or she heard made in jest.
Oh my gosh.
Think of that for a second. All you needed to do was make a joke. And if it reflected badly enough on President Trump, the FBI would purposefully misrepresent it as though it was a credible allegation, all the way up to the director of the entire FBI, who would then brief the president himself on it. The more information that comes out, the worse it is for Democrats. That is a consistent through line here. Because I will say this, we've often said, there's probably a kernel of truth to it. I thought maybe there were Russian prostitutes peeing in a Trump hotel and he knew about it and said, they like the water sports. Something like that. Turns out there isn't a kernel of truth at all. It was entirely made up from a joke. The truth is worse than the very little leeway we were willing to give. I'd say scraping the bottom of the barrel, but it's a bottomless barrel. You're just like, you're way down into the dirt and you're looking up going, is that the barrel I was scraping through? Another claim that they make, the Steele dossier wasn't central to the FISA warrant. Before that, I need to tell people to hit the notification bell, right? Hit the notification bell, because subscriptions don't mean a whole lot, but do subscribe to the channel. We have a new video. You've been letting me say this wrong this whole time, Garrett. It's 9 Eastern. It's 9 Eastern.
Who cares about their time?
What are you talking about?
It doesn't matter. Either way, join up at Mug Club, louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club. That's where you get all of the extra content. Some shows even hosted by my half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond. Of course, the whole Blaze catalog. And next week, Wednesday, big live Christmas show. It'll be a live stream with a discount. We'll be raising money for Christmas baskets. Okay, let's move on here. Another claim. This is important because you're going to hear this from the Young Turks. You're going to hear this from all of these left sources, MSNBC, that the Steele dossier wasn't central to the FISA warrant. Okay? Right. In case you've forgotten, maybe you recall that Devin Nunes, the memo, claimed the Steele dossier was an essential part of the evidence used to begin the FBI spying on Trump's campaign. The Democrats claimed that this was absolutely not true.
The deputy director of the FBI, McCabe, testified before your committee in December of 2017 that no surveillance warrant, no FISA court, to the FISA court would have been sought without the Steele dossier information. Is that true?
That's a characterization. That's not what Director McCabe or Deputy Director McCabe actually said. Well, I can't go into the details of what he said. Essentially, his argument was, we look at this as a complete whole. All the parts of the application are important.
Okay, so of course the entire leftist media, they piled on as well, claiming the Steele dossier was only a small part of the evidence. Definitely not essential, non-essential.
That's funny.
Here's the truth. Not only did the IG report find that the dossier played a central, I want to read this as a quote, central, and people are going, you can't get off prompter. Today I am making sure that I am on this iPad because I don't want to get this wrong.
Do it.
When you're dealing with the FBI, kind of scary. They can do anything they want.
They can make the mistakes, not you.
Found the dossier played a central and essential role in the FISA application. When it came to Carter Page's, by the way, alleged Russia collusion, the Steele dossier was the entire basis. It wasn't a small basis. It wasn't a portion. It was the only basis. Here's another claim that the Obama administration didn't use the dossier at all. This came out this week, that they didn't use the dossier at all in their intelligence assessment. Here you go. Listen to that.
Do you know if the Bureau ever relied on the Steele dossier as part of any court filings?
I like Gowdy, but he's very pointy.
Petitions, pleadings?
I have no awareness.
At all?
Complete, utterly unaware.
Did the CIA rely on it?
No.
Why not?
No. Because we didn't. It wasn't part of the corpus of intelligence information that we had. It was not in any way used as a basis for the intelligence community assessment that was done. It was not.
And by the way, they didn't trot out Gerald Ford's corpse. That's CIA Director John Brennan, in case you didn't know. And he was saying that they didn't even know about the Steele dossier, right? The Obama administration, this is important to note, they all knew about the Steele dossier. It was actually included as an appendix in the assessment itself. Not only did they give the Steele dossier credit, it practically wrote the foreword. Even further than that, by the way, Comey and McCabe fought to have it play an even more central role in the assessment, proactively. So I want to be clear. I mean, I don't know at what point lying constitutes a crime.
Yeah.
But this, I want you to research the sources for yourself. Okay, we have to cycle through this because we have Tim Pool coming up pretty quick to talk about the new YouTube policies. Here's another claim they make, that the FISA warrant was obtained completely honestly on the up and up.
I have total confidence that the FISA process was followed and that the entire case was handled in a thoughtful, responsible way by DOJ and the FBI. I think the notion that FISA was abused here is nonsense.
Okay, so this is pretty important, and let me know if it's a little confusing, and maybe, Bill, you can help clarify, because it's confusing for me sometimes, and I work in this industry. Right. The FBI created fraudulent evidence to obtain the warrant. I know Bill's going to say, well, hold on, because I'm making a claim here. I believe that I can make that claim and substantiate it. Just pause, or if you don't have the time, fast forward 4 seconds. Carter Page, was actually acting as an informant for the CIA during these Russia meetings, The FBI knew that.
Right.
So to be clear, the FBI omitted that information from the FISA applications and even used Carter's connection to those Russian contacts as evidence against him. Think of that for a second. They knew. So it's like, okay, go out there, you're going to have contacts, you're going to be an informant working with the Russians, and then afterwards we're going to hang you out to the dry and say, look, this is an informant with the Russians. So here's why I am saying this definitively, that they falsified information here. The FBI emailed the CIA to check if Page was working with them, They confirmed that Page was a source, that Page was a source. But an FBI lawyer, and then I want to go to my lawyer, he's a lawyer, an FBI lawyer actually altered the text of the email to say he was not a source. To be clear, it said was a source initially. FBI lawyer changed the text to read not a source. Not a source. By the way, lawyer now under criminal investigation. How far does that go, half Asian lawyer? Can I make the claim that that is falsifying evidence, changing the word yes to no?
I mean, yes.
Okay, all right, good.
Wow, that was so quick.
I don't want to run afoul of YouTube's policies.
But here again is the thing: is how are they going to try and spin this and say, it was just a mistake. It's just a low-level lawyer for the FBI.
I accidentally hit the delete button for SAW, and then I accidentally typed in NOT. I don't know. I spilled coffee in the keyboard. I don't know what happened.
It's a common issue.
That's the last time I use a Dell.
Gateway.
I mean,
only Gateway.
Is Gateway still around?
No.
Nope.
No.
That's why it's funny.
No, seriously, he's under criminal investigation, and I understand the optics. There's the court of public opinion, but this is a lie. This seems like it would be something that could be prosecutable.
These are the types of things where, we call it the fruit of the poisonous tree as a legal term, right? If you, in the common parlance of like the Fourth Amendment and other constitutional issues, you have to establish that if early in the chain of creating evidence or taking certain action by the government takes wrong action, then the rest of the information that comes from that, the fruit of the poisonous tree, is now poisoned as well, right? It's tainted. Yeah. And here, when you look at Comey understood the problem with that. That's why back in December of 2018, he's saying, no, don't worry. The tree is not poisoned. Everything's great. We fertilized it with great stuff, except they fertilized it with bullshit. And that's the problem.
Then Eve tried to eat from it.
It was terrible. Over and over and over.
Eve.
Still angry about that, huh?
And then she wrote her autobiography on Adele. Okay. Since you can't, this is also something else because we have to get going. People say, if you can't say something better than the guy who said it before you, plagiarize them. The good thing is, as a host of a late night show, it's not considered plagiarizing when I just run a clip. So let's just hear Senator Ted Cruz sum this up perfectly.
A lawyer at the FBI creates fraudulent evidence, alters an email, that is in turn used as the basis for a sworn statement to the court that the court relies on. Am I stating that accurately?
That's correct. That is what occurred.
That seems pretty damning here.
This is unprecedented, though. This is unprecedented to have these people in these positions of power over, as you've said, other good Americans who want to serve their country in these bureaus, in these wings of our federal government, to obviously one extent or another, depending on which division we're talking about right now. This is unprecedented for people wielding that kind of power to be complicit with a media who don't care to do any fact checking.
Right.
It's hard for us to fact check their claims because they never list them.
Right.
That's why we try to list them
No sources
for you.
anywhere.
If I'm not mistaken, I think we have one more clip, right?
Yep.
Okay, let's go to one last clip and then go.
There is such a range of conduct here that is inexplicable, and the answers we got were not satisfactory, that we're left trying to understand how could all these errors have occurred over a 9-month period or so among 3 teams handpicked, one of the highest profile, if not the highest profile case in the FBI, going to the very top of the organization involving a presidential campaign?
That is a great question. And that's why it begs, could this all be an accident? How could these inexplicable errors, or at least they haven't been explained yet, all occur going up to the very top of the organization? Was it just a sloppy investigation? Or do all of these errors, it could just be a sloppy investigation, except when you account for the fact here that all of the errors tilt in a certain direction, one that's anti-President Trump. Let me ask you this, can you find anything to the contrary in the last 6 months? Do you remember, like you were to go back to what you were saying, remember the outrage over Barr's review of the Mueller report? People demanded that he be ousted for his conclusion obtained from the totality of information available. They saw that as corruption at the highest level possible. But what about all of these missteps, or sometimes deliberate inaccuracies in the most powerful bureaus of government? Nothing? And again, I think what's most important here is every time we get more information, it gets worse for the Democrats right now in these impeachment proceedings. Yeah. That's why I think they're handing Donald Trump the election. I wish this weren't going on, because I think it makes a mockery of our entire, not only judicial system, but the entire system of American government. Schoolhouse Rock should be rolling over in its grave right now. This is absolutely unreal to me. But like you talked about with the IRS investigating people, the IRS being used as a tool from Barack Obama to audit conservatives. Yeah. Here's one thing, too, that I think, because you can audit a ham sandwich, right? That's the old kind of adage people say. You can audit a ham sandwich and find something wrong. And that's kind of true. There was a story, someone just lost his home because he was $8 under on property taxes, right? That's scary to everybody, where you go, well, there's a certain amount of power where the government can find something that you've done wrong. Here's why this is scary, though, because if they don't find something that you've done wrong, they will make it up. Whether it's Russian pissing prostitutes or changing from did know about the Steele dossier to did not know about the Steele dossier, this has gone beyond someone making a mistake and a political enemy capitalizing on it. This has gone to the most powerful wings of government, arguably, in Washington, D.C., now deliberately fabricating or misleading investigations for reasons of political expediency. It is terrifying, and it sets a terrifying precedent that we should all be concerned about. You know what's in here? It's just water. That's why they call it acting. It actually smells garlicky. There's something wrong with the water. I think it's going through the ice maker, and we don't have the baking soda in the fridge. If you like this video, subscribe, hit notifications, or just check back every single day, because we upload a new video every single day. And this was actually taken from the full show, a full-hour show that we upload every single Thursday. Click that right now. Go watch the entire show. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But if you stop by, just don't bother me. I'm going to enjoy my garlic water.